Holy City Center Radio, it is episode 72, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is January 16th, 2023. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm sure some of you have the day off, but don't forget why you have that day off. And Charleston has some activities centered around this day. Most of them have already passed at this point, but the YWCA always puts these several events on every year. And today, depending, of course, on when you're listening to this, but there is a parade on Monday, January 16th, which I'll talk about here in a moment because there's a announcement that is factored into the parade. So if you missed it, keep it in mind every year the YWCA of the Greater Charleston area puts on several events for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and they have a nice variety of different things that you can do each year. Also, since it is MLK Jr. Day, I just wanted to say, since we're in such close proximity to Atlanta, where Martin Luther King Jr. was born, I have the opportunity. I visited Atlanta a few years ago. Well, I've been there a couple times, but this particular trip, I had some time and finally was able to do a little sightseeing. But sometimes when you go to places, even the big sightseeing iconic places that you hear about, sometimes they're not worth it. They're tourist traps, or over the years they've just become something that locals would probably scoff at. But I don't know what locals think, but the anything involving Martin Luther King Jr. in Atlanta that I've done is well worth it. Especially since most of the activities are free. You can't beat that when you're looking at historical things. But in any event, I recommend, if you go to Atlanta, checking out all the different things involving Dr. King, most of which are in what's called the Sweet Auburn community in Atlanta, including his birth home. So the home that, when he was born, his family lived in and he lived in. That's over on Auburn Avenue. I didn't take a tour of the house. I just knew the address and just walked up to it and, just looked at the home, took some photos and things. I didn't get to go inside or anything like that. But nearby that is also the Ebenezer Baptist Church, where he preached, and now Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock actually preaches as well. Depending on when you visit, of course, just like any other churches, like as you're probably well familiar here in Charleston, you can go in and check it out. So it's neat to go in there and just think of the history and know that Dr. King used to preach there, which is pretty amazing to think about. Also in that area is the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park. Lots of educational things to see, read, and take in. In addition to that, there is an area where the tomb of Dr. King and his wife, Coretta Scott King, are actually out in public for you to see. They have like one of those eternal flame type displays out there as well. It's all very interesting. It's a weird feeling to be in the presence of so much history involving someone you've heard so much about over time and how important they were to so many people. And yeah, so I recommend it. If you ever have a chance to go to Atlanta, check out all of the Martin Luther King Jr. related sites and attractions. As I mentioned, most are free, which they should be, when it comes to historical things like that. So definitely recommend it. And again, I hope you all are enjoying a day off today, but, don't forget why we do have that day off. So with that, let's move on to the news. This is exciting for me. Local organizer and justice advocate Tamika, Mika Gadsden, as many people know her, will officially mark the public launch of her 2023 mayoral campaign here in Charleston with an appearance at this year's YWCA Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade. That takes place at 10:30 a.m. today. So congratulations to Mika. She's a friend of mine. Really proud of her for deciding to run for mayor of Charleston. I think she has some great ideas, a unique perspective that unfortunately you don't always see with candidates for many offices in this city or state. So looking forward to see what she has to say, what some of her plans are, and yeah, just really proud of her for doing that. For those who don't know, she has a daily show Monday through Friday that you can watch via Twitch. By far, it's the best show uh, that I can think of in Charleston. She is covering politics, she's covering news, and she just does an amazing job. I honestly don't know how she does it. I do this podcast now 3 days a week. It doesn't involve video. It doesn't involve discussion with people, because in her Twitch stream, you're interacting with her live if you want to. So she's watching the chat, she's talking to people, I don't know how she does it. And now she's running for mayor. So congratulations to her. I'm excited to see how it all goes. About her announcement and why she's doing it during the parade, here's what Mika had to say, quote, "So much of the grassroots organizing framework that I work within and benefit from today was established by the civil rights movement and the work that the King family championed in this city," end quote. The Mika for Mayor parade contingent will be seen fifth in the marching order during today's parade. Gadsden said she plans to follow up her official campaign launch with a special pop-up event on Charleston's West Side neighborhood on February 12th. Additional details on this and other events can be found at votemika.com. That's Vote Mika, spelled Mika.com. So again, congratulations to her. Go check out her website, and also be sure to watch her Twitch stream Mondays through Fridays in the morning. Next up, Angel Oak. The Angel Oak Preserve designs are ready for public input. The Low Country Land Trust, in partnership with the city of Charleston, has shared that the near final designs of the future Angel Oak Preserve are ready for community members to review and provide feedback. The 44-acre preserve design is going to feature boardwalk trails, a nature play area for children, and educational information about the tree and the native people that have held this angel oak sacred for generations. Community members can learn more about the project, review the design renderings, and provide feedback online at angeloakpreserve.org. The Low Country Land Trust also encourages area residents to attend one of its upcoming community outreach events, or request even a small group presentation. More details on all of that can be found on the website I mentioned. I also have a link in the show notes to the Holy City Sinner article about this, and all the dates are listed on that as well. And finally, and unfortunately, this is a story that recently made headlines, and um, you know, not many people were surprised to see this headline. I will say that. Um, Post and Courier did a pretty in-depth article the other day, last week. Link is in the show notes. Be sure to read the whole thing. I can't cover it all, nor should I, because they did so much hard work and research, and you all should go read that if you have a chance. The headline reads, "Citadel cadets and faculty say there's pervasive racism at the school." Again, a lot of the comments I got on social media when I shared this link to the Post and Courier story was not a real lot of surprise. In fact, it was pretty much people saying the opposite of that. So again, read the whole thing. I can't possibly cover it all, but here are some key points from it. Over a 10-month period, the Post and Courier spoke to more than 36 current and former cadets and Citadel employees. They also read through hundreds of pages of legal files. The paper also analyzed records obtained from the school through a Freedom of Information Act request about violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination based on race, color, or national origin. The cadets talked to the paper about how classmates frequently use racial slurs. When black cadets walked across campus at night, for instance, they sometimes heard monkey noises shouted from the windows of school buildings. The paper also found the following incidents have occurred since 2018. So this is saying nothing about the horrible past that that institution has with racism, which is well documented. Also, horribly sexist as well. The first female cadets that were in that school had to deal with so much from their male counterparts. This is, again, well documented. You could go look at it. I mean, the Citadel was created specifically because the city at the time was afraid of enslaved people uprising, because there were more enslaved people than there were non-enslaved at that time. So that's really why the school was created in the first place, so that the city would have its own military type body to protect its citizens in their mind. So yes, it's not an institution that has a very good history, and many don't. Many institutions that have been around that long don't. It's a matter of how they have progressed as time has gone on, and unfortunately, we frequently see these types of headlines about the Citadel. And, to be fair, a lot of it is the cadets. So, it's hard to say how much of this is related to the institution itself. And there's a lot of questions that could be asked about it. But in any event, here are some of the incidents that the Post and Courier said they found occurred since 2018. First, after a black female cadet was named a company commander in the spring of 2021, a recording circulated of a classmate calling her the N-word. Then, during the 21-22 school year, a cadet took a picture of a portrait of the Citadel's first 2 black graduates getting displayed in the school's library. He posted the picture to social media, saying, quote, "They're hanging these," and then he used the N-word, and then said, "This is my school," end quote, as if that was, you get it. I don't need to explain to you why that's bad. In fall 2020, several black cadets witnessed a white classmate singing Dixie in front of a group during a holiday gathering. In January 2020, a black cadet emailed a professor about issues he had concerning the tone of a class discussion about the welfare state. The professor linked the welfare state to higher divorce rates and poverty in black communities. In the email, the cadet wrote that one of his classmates said, quote, "I think that the welfare state should be compared to why you shouldn't feed wild animals. They'll just keep coming back for more," end quote. Then in 2018, a black cadet reported that an assistant football coach twice referred to him using the word monkey. He used terms similar to, quote, "You play like a lost monkey," end quote, and, quote, "You run around the field like a lost monkey," end quote. In 2 of the cases that I just mentioned, the Post and Courier reports that the Citadel brass asked black cadets to weigh in on their classmates' punishments. Those cadets said they felt pressured to suggest less severe punishments than their classmates deserved. So that's just a very brief section from this article. Again, I recommend you all read it to kind of see what exactly has been going on at the school, how the school's administration responded to these incidents, and you'll see some themes. And besides, of course, racism continuing within the ranks, and in these incidents, there's many others that I didn't mention. Other circumstances, situations, and things that have happened. But in addition to that, you can see how a lot of the black cadets that were involved, as I mentioned in that last paragraph, felt some pressure to not, you know, give the other cadets a punishment that they felt was deserved. They felt some pressure, from the brass at the Citadel to, yeah, are you sure there should be a punishment, but maybe let's just do like this little punishment. They'll get the idea. So I'm obviously paraphrasing, and that's not verbatim from anything, but that's the gist of it. So I definitely recommend checking it out. So that'll do it for this episode. I hope you all had a good weekend and have a great week ahead of you. Let me know what you think of this new format. Go to, you can email me at christian@holycitycenter.com. Let me know what you want to hear, what's working, what's not working. Also, if you want to support the website and the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/holycitycenter. You can also pick up merchandise at holycitycenter.com/shop. Big thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins, producer of each and every episode here. She is with LMC Soundsystem and also has a local podcast called F&B Radio that you should listen to. I also want to thank Tyler Boone, who provides the music in each and every episode. And a big thank you to all of you for listening, tuning in. You can also help out. Make sure you don't miss any episodes by going to whatever your preferred streaming platform is and subscribing to the podcast. You can also like it, rate, review. All those things will help out and get the podcast in more people's ears. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And until then, good night and good luck.